Hey Insider, we've got a special guest joining us today who recently graduated from our flagship course called LMA, Life Mastery Achievers. And he'll be sharing with us his journey on board this experience, how he honestly found it from beginning to end and everything in between. So just want to say it's a pleasure to see you here today. Let's start with the first introductory question. What's your name? Where are you currently based? And what do you do?
My name's Andy. I am based in Bristol in the UK, which is the southwest of the country. And for the last 30 years, I've been a financial planner, and specifically values-based financial planning is what I do. I mean, in a nutshell, that means we look at somebody's life goals and values, and we build a financial plan, which is the financial architecture to achieve those things. And then
Okay,
all the financial choices are aligned to that. So that's what I
nice. Yeah, just before we started this interview, Andy, I was saying to you, I've been seeing you quite a lot in our community, taking action, and I can seriously tell you are very committed in terms of change. And your story was brought to my attention because you left us a review online as well, saying you've gone through a lot of personal growth content, you've gone through the tapes, the CDs, and you've been in this field for many, many years. And you pretty much said LMA was a worthwhile journey for you because it's helped you to explore the procrastination, let go of the limiting beliefs, and so forth. So, just before we start talking more about the LMA journey and how it's benefited you, I'm curious to know more about that procrastination and limiting beliefs. Prior to
yeah.
joining LMA, how was it showing up in your life and where was it impacting you?
I noticed the limiting beliefs showing up in as I turned into my 50s, actually, more than anything else.
Hmm.
And I'm 54 now, and I was finding that is it is it too late? I mean, there's a lot of things that I have achieved and I'm very pleased about, but there are some things that I've let slide. And I was thinking, gosh, is regret starting to set in? I'm 54, and I think, well, I've only got 30 years left to live, or 40, even though sometimes I wanted to say I'm going to live to 120, get some positive creep in sometimes. But
Mm.
seriously, I started to think I'm running out of time. That's one limiting belief.
Yeah.
I've stopped up some things, and I thought perhaps have I missed the boat. I was also noticing that I wasn't thinking very clearly, or as clear as I used to be able to. And I was feeling a bit stuck and a bit overwhelmed um, with everything that I appeared to have on my plate. And although I was taking care of lots of other people, clients in particular, people that aren't clients, and that I just kind of give my time to and my experience to help them move forward, I was neglecting myself.
Mm.
And self-care was going out the window, and also not quite as much, but also not spending time with my wife, Vanessa, as much. And then the procrastination, well, I wasn't sure where that was coming from, whether that was because of the overwhelm, or I was putting things off, or I just had too many things on my plate to do. And then I was sat with a client, and at the end of the meeting, and she's actually just retired, but she's a very good coach, actually. And she said, "Oh, I mentioned procrastination," when she asked how you're doing and everything else. And she said, "You know what? I'm writing an exam paper, or I'm writing an article on procrastination, and apparently it comes from deep within the subconscious."
Mm.
And then the meeting kind of ended. And then this is how I came to. Well, you might ask me this in a minute, but this is how I came on to find LMA, actually.
Right. So I take it
Quite
you
interesting.
went onto YouTube and started searching stuff to procrastination, or how did it unfold?
Well, no, I didn't do that. What I
Oh,
did do is I
okay.
just decided that I'd only just decided that I was going to do less social media, not give
Mm.
it up, but be more selective.
Yeah.
And so I removed um, Facebook from my phone at that time. And I woke up at 7:20 in the morning, and I picked up my phone habitually, thinking, "I'll have a look at Facebook,"
Yeah.
and it wasn't there. So I then went onto YouTube, which wasn't very clever. But then there you were on an advert, and I thought, I don't know who this guy is. And it said there was a thing, when you could press it and then you can go past. It said, "Oh, you got to wait 2 seconds to skip the ad." I thought, "Oh, I'll have to wait 2 seconds." And then you said about procrastination and it coming from a place of in the subconscious, and I thought, hello, that's interesting. I'll carry on listening to this chat.
Mm.
And then I listened for the next hour and a half. And then I got out of bed and found my credit card and signed up
Wow. So on the same day, you came
on the
across
same,
this.
yeah, before I
All
got
right.
showered.
So, you're from England, and this culture it's got a healthy level of skepticism towards, especially personal development, right? It's quite
Yeah.
still new out here. So I got to ask you, Andy, you've just come across us that day. It was an advert, a random Asian guy popped up, right? So you sat on that free masterclass with us. When you were
Mm.
presented that chance to join LMA, if you were to be bluntly honest, what were some of your like biggest fears or doubts you had about the LMA course? And what ended up making you just say, yes, let me just try it?
Um, Probably, I did have some, I think probably twofold.
Mhm.
On the one hand, would it live up to expectations? I mean, it appeared to be the answer to so many things because of the way in which it appeared to be structured, etc. And then on the other hand, would I have the time to actually implement the teaching? Would I have the time to properly devote to it? And so on the one hand, it may have been fantastic. On the other hand, what if I just didn't do it?
Yeah.
I suppose. No, I thought, well, no, um, I will, I will commit to this. I said, I will commit to this. And
Mm.
if this doesn't help, nothing will,
Right.
given some of the outstanding things already on. So that was kind of what was going through my mind, really.
Right. Yeah. And it makes sense because you're a busy guy. You've got a lot of things going on, got that business as well. So what made you think, even though you were wondering, do I have the time for this? What made you like logically justify, yep, I might as well just give it a try and get involved with the content?
Because I wanted to move forward more than I wanted to stay where I was.
Right.
I already did that. Um, I mean, deep down, I realized that my only competition is my own potential, and I can close the gap between my performance and my potential.
Mm.
And sometimes we just need a bit of we need we need help, or we need some direction, some leadership. And I felt that that would be available.
Yeah.
And also had the support of Vanessa, my wife, who was very encouraged.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Makes sense. So you were basically thinking the short-term sacrifice is worth it in terms of long-term gain. If it helps you to, better yourself, unlock that potential, it'll definitely be worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right. So you took that leap. You joined us on board, Andy. And what ended up happening? So when you first ended up checking out the content, what was it about LMA that made you think, you know what, I'm going to give this a fair try? Because you got to the end of this 6 week journey. So what made you realize at the start, I'm going to try this properly?
Well, the first thing I noticed was the amount of stuff, the content coming from all directions, different types of ways of teaching it. You've got the Facebook group community, which is a good community, it's a support group. You've got the support team itself. You've got the chance to reflect by yourself going through the course. You've also got the group coaching calls, which are live each week. Uh, the accountability, where you can volunteer to be accountable to another, and they can be accountable to you just to keep you on the right path. And if you wanted to have more accountability, you could also have a personal one-to-one coach, which I did. Know thyself, you see. So I thought I
Mm.
would do that. Not everybody needs that, but I felt I did, so I chose that option. There were just lots of different touch points in the support of the team. Yeah, and even just focusing on the course itself online, I thought week one, I thought, oh my goodness, it's so much to expect all this. Not that that wasn't a dissatisfaction. That was,
Yeah.
wow, this is going to be good. And then the way it was delivered, it was very accessible and unnoticed changes.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And you know, like I said at the start, I really appreciate the feedback you did leave us online. If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been in personal development, checking out different courses, going through CDs, I think you mentioned, and stuff like that?
Uh, since 1989,
Okay, so how many years?
before you
That's
were born, probably.
so many years, basically, decades, decades.
30 odd. Yeah,
Wow.
I was working in a bank at the time, and this they just created a self development library, and I was the only subscriber, I think, in the whole country I've seen.
Yeah.
So I just borrowed tapes. I thought, oh, this is good. Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and all these different people. I thought it was fantastic, and that's what really got me into different sort of career directions as well.
Right. So 30 plus years. And you mentioned this is up there, you know, with you know, the things you've gone through in terms of how good it is.
Mm.
What's made you say that? What do you believe is it about LMA that's really benefited you?
Um, I think it's oh dear, how can I put this? I think I kind of already touched on it. Really, is that it's kind of the way it's organised.
Mm.
Um, you're obviously very uh, exceptional at what you do and the way you deliver it, as are your team. Uh, there's a gentleness as well as a sort of accountability. There's definitely a lot of expertise there. Um, I think I'm just thinking back on uh, some academies I've been on for my work, and what it was about them and what it is also about this is that you had the person's best interests at heart to deliver the content, but you also told the truth succinctly and directly and let the cards fall where they will because you have the individual's best interests at heart. So what I'm saying is it's okay to thinking about exercise doesn't make you physically fit. You know, this is the sort of two-way street.
Yeah.
You can produce the most phenomenal course, but the other person has to implement that to get the results.
Mm.
And so the way you make that quite you do it easy to implement
Gotcha.
um, and compelling and sort of attractive to implement. Um, I don't know if I've strayed off the point actually.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So you liked how, in a way, how practical it was for you
Yeah,
and
it
the
was
way it was
practical,
delivered. Yeah.
well researched, practical. It was just it said what it needed to say without going too, you know,
Yeah.
over the top, fluffy.
Right. Right. So you've been taking action because I've been seeing you posting update videos and stuff like that. So what sort of benefits, other than what's you know you've said in the groups and so forth, specifically about this whole journey? Because you're a graduate now. What has been the biggest benefit you've experienced in your life, or something that's just made you feel really happy that you've embarked on this journey with us?
Um, well, I could answer that kind of broadly and also specifically on the certain weeks.
Sure. Yeah.
So in a broad sense, sort of high level, I'm able to think differently. I've been able to get time to think, which I think we all lack sometimes if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Just having that time and space to think. So being able to think differently and more accurately about things, about the tools and the capabilities to do that. And realizing that the issue is really around our own programming and what we've received in life. Like we've learned a lot of things that we can unlearn, and then that gives confidence. So I feel I've had confidence, the tools, the capabilities, that you get to the nub of the thing on this course, which is going past. It doesn't require huge. I know what I said before. You need to implement. It doesn't require huge amounts of willpower. And what I've noticed is that I've been getting paradigm shifts, which occur naturally and permanently.
Nice.
Aha moments, if you will.
Yeah.
You think, oh gosh, in just going through the process, my mind has changed, which my identity begins to change because you're kind of setting down new pathways, new kind of thinking processes, which then allows me to achieve the results I want, health, relationally, and in work. So that's been a really wonderful thing. And then I think the thing is, it's so integrated that to try and say, oh, week 2's best or week 3's best or any of that is quite difficult because it's so integrated and progressive. They all kind of knit together. But I think week 2 and week 3 would have, and week 4 had the biggest impact for me.
Okay. Well, why is that? Why week 2, 3, and 4?
I'm just now looking at some notes in my book. This is of course.
Big.
Week 2. Week 2. I'll read. May I just read a little sentence?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Because it kind of sums up. So I was just reading through and reflecting. My subconscious mind knows whether or not to pursue a goal based on my identity, not my conscious desires. And the subconscious mind works automatically and impersonally to achieve the goals my identity set for it. Which I had to stop and think about that. And every time, when I realized that actually my identity, okay, so it's my identity. What is my identity? How's that come about? How can I change that? And suddenly you go deep in the root issues and you change those things. And then suddenly the things that you struggled with before seem to unfold easily in the same way that the things you struggled with unfolded easily, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not easy for a layman to put it into words, but that's phenomenal. Then in week 3, I mean, the whole goals thing, the values and the difference between vision. I mean, these are the distinctions that you make and the precision that you talk about it with. The difference between vision and goals, and then writing that letter exercise.
Yeah.
I've just read that now, and I think, gosh, I don't think I'm going to stop reviewing all the course. Actually, I think it's like an ongoing.
Yeah. There's a fair bit covered. Yeah. So week 4, what you said that was helpful. What was it about week 4 as well that you enjoyed?
Week 4 was quite the practical ways of being able to implement things. I particularly like the spreadsheet where you could actually list down what you're going to do to achieve your goals and then reflect on it and then do that on a daily basis. So I like that structure. I know that's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea, and it is actually you give lots of options, don't you, to fit different.
Yeah, especially week 4. There's a lot of and I said that spreadsheet is not for everyone, but I can clearly tell why you like it because you're in that world of finance and so forth, so it makes sense. Yeah. So we also saw you, well, at least I saw you literally implementing these different tools from week 4, and you was mentioning what you was doing. So that was pretty cool because you was mentioning, I tried this today, and then you went out running or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
the running. That was um, that was a way to actually immediately implement integrity from week one, I think,
Right. Yeah.
as well. And then also from week two, the new rules. So while I was running, I was observing, trees, fields, and saying, whenever I see these things, that's when I feel freedom, for example.
Right.
It sounds a little bit out of context if people are watching this testimonial because I think
Mm.
but it was being able to integrate all of these things together, and then the sum of those feeling so like your self-esteem shoots through the roof and your confidence goes through the roof because you are keeping commitments to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, Andrew, really appreciate you, sharing all of these insights and your personal story with us. To basically wrap up, if somebody was watching this and they're resonating with your story right now, and maybe thinking of giving LMA a try, having been on the other side, what advice would you give to this individual who's listening to you right now?
I would say, you know, you're obviously worth the investment to give it a go. Um, and think about what it'd be worth now and over time, both in your financial and relationships and health, anything that you're struggling with right now. Um, remember also that it's a two-way street. You have to meet people halfway. So the guys on LMA will certainly do their bit, but you need to rock up and do your bit as well and respond and reach out for help if you need it. But just enjoy the process, and then remember also that the only competition you have is actually your potential, and that you can narrow the gap between your own performance in these areas and your potential. And I don't know of anything else that can do this as well and help you on your journey and accelerate that process. So do it. You won't regret it.